Hi, everybody. I want to share an example of Cloudflare Workers. I've been playing with this for just a couple weeks now, so I'm still pretty new to it. And I had some initial hiccups in terms of how it works and stuff. But now that I played with it a bit, I'm really, really impressed with just how easy it is and how powerful it feels. So I thought today I'd share a quick example of how I can set up a worker to create an API. This will be very, very simple. It definitely won't use all the features, but hopefully it will give you an idea of the workflow of how I start, how I test, and then how I deploy. I will include a link to the docs in the video description, so you can take that and run with it. And also, what I want to build will be a wrapper for the Pirate Weather API. This is a really simple API that you can work with that will provide, as you guessed, weather information. It's really simple. And what I'm going to do is build a Cloudflare worker that is going to return the forecast for my particular location. And that's it. I'm going to include the key in the worker, and the idea being is that I can hit this worker from my web application, and I don't have to expose the key. Now, obviously, someone can see that URL and then still use my API key via the worker. But because I'm going to be hard coding it to my location, they won't be able to do much with it. All right, so with that out of the way, let me show you how to get started. So I have my terminal here, and I will say I've already created an account with Cloudflare. I've already authenticated via terminal, so we'll skip all that. But I can go in here and say npm create Cloudflare, and I'll warn you now, I will probably say Cloudflare quite a bit at latest. And we are going to call this weather 1. And yes, I have a weather 0 that I'll be copying some code from. So we have some options in terms of what it should scaffold. I will say simply hello world. I will not use TypeScript, and then it will do its thing. So it's creating a folder, it's creating a project, it's npm installing everything it needs to. I'm not going to deploy it right now, but what we will do is go into weather 1. And as it says, we can see npm run start. So let's do that, npm run start. That will run the development server. And let's hit B to open it in the browser. And we should see it pops up. Let me move the cat out of the way. Thank you very much. All right, let's look at the code behind that. And we are going to open my folder here, projects, Cloudflare, weather 1. And like so. All right, and that may have closed my terminal. Let's see if it's gone. Yes, it is, but that's all right. I can do npm run start again. And we'll just hit B to open it up again, just to be sure. Cool. All right, so the code for this worker is in worker.js. Let me make that a little bit bigger. And it's relatively simple. Right now, it's returning plain text. If I wanted to return something a bit more complex, let's make a data variable. Let data equals message hello world, like that. And then if I want to return it as JSON, all I'm going to do is change that return response and include a header in this type, content type application JSON, and I'm stringifying my data. And oops, let's actually put that in the right place. Thank you, Visual Studio Code, for making it clear I had screwed up. Save it and reload, and now we get a JSON response. So now it's more closer to a proper API endpoint. Cool. So now let's actually start hitting the Pirate Weather API. I'm going to make a few constants. First thing I'm going to do is set a longitude and latitude for Lafayette, Louisiana. Then I'm going to create one for my key, and I will copy and paste that in like so, and we'll call it API key. So const API key equals like that. So I'm hard coding it in, and yes, that's bad. We're going to fix that in a moment. So once I have my variables, I can hit the Pirate Weather API, and it's really, really simple. And let me kind of show you how this looks. We'll get rid of that data. And what we have here is we have the endpoint, API, piratweather.net, forecast. I'm including my API key. I'm including my latitude and longitude in the URL. I'm hitting excuse me. I'm hitting that URL. I'm getting the JSON back, and let's actually return that like so, and reload, and we will get, wow, look at all that data. Again, I said the API is really cool, and that is nearly 2,000 lines of data for the forecast. Spoiler, it's going to be really dang hot. So one of the things that I like about serverless, and one of like the first things that really got me excited, was not only like being able to hide API keys, but also being able to reshape an API. So if I'm building a JavaScript application and I need this data, but only need a small amount of data, that's a lot of information that is essentially being wasted. So what I'm going to do is basically just go in here and say, you know what, let's make a new variable where all I want is the daily forecast and any possible alerts. So I will go here and switch the result from forecast to data. And remember, we had nearly 2,000 lines. I'll save it like so, and we'll reload, and it is a heck of a lot smaller. Now it's down to a little over 400. So one more thing that I want to do, and that is I want to switch from using a hard-coded key in my code to using an environment variable. So what I can do is I can make a new variable, a new file called .env.vars. And it's going to look a lot like a regular .env file if you've used that particular Node.js package. And I'm just going to copy in a key value pair, and this time pirate key equals my alias there. And then I'm going to switch my code to instead grab the key from the env variable. So I'm going to go like that, get rid of the duplication like so. And then in theory, just reload, and it doesn't work because I added that new file and it was checked at load. So what's cool is that I can do exit. I'm just going to run npm run start again, reload, and it's working again. And we get rid of that. So how do we deploy? Well, before I deploy, I do need to ensure that Cloudflare knows about my environment variable. Luckily, that's really easy to do, and I'm going to go into the documentation. It's easy to do, but I forgot to make a note on it. And there is a command that I could run, and this is Wrangler. This is part of the CLI that you get when you work with Cloudflare. And I'm just going to do Wrangler secret put, and what did I call it? Pirate key. And it's going to ask me for the value. I will copy and paste from here. And like so. And then the last thing I need to do is npm run deploy. And now it's essentially copying this code, putting it online. And we will get a URL that if I open up, yep, I trust that URL. And I get the same endpoint. So all of this was less than 10 minutes. Part of that was me starting with hello world and showing you, obviously I could have skipped all of that. Very, very simple. Cloudflare has a lot built into their worker platform, including really easy database access, a lot of exciting stuff that I want to show you at some time. But I hope you like this and let me know in the comments what you think.